Alright, good morning, this is Alamon. Looks like this has gone live. This is an unofficial little supplementary stream for the KPE3 campaign that's going on right now. So here's the thing, there's that rover up on Duna, but they just put a couple little puny omnidirectional antennas on it, so completely out of contact. So we're gonna have to fix that. Using the remote tech mod. So first we have to design satellites. Use this remote guidance unit, core of the satellite. This does have torque. That's probably going to be enough. Go for their fuel tanks. To come to think of it, is this a 1.25 meter part? Yes, it is. Right, let's try putting on that fuel tank, perhaps, and then a few batteries. Actually, let's change the order of that. We will also... What am I looking for? Here's our antennas. We're going to want a Communitron 32 for sure, but I'll add that in a few minutes. Let's see. 60 gigameters, that should be enough. And let's see what the Delta V would be so far with that engine. Not bad. That is going to go down a bit when we add some more things onto this, but that's actually a great start. Let's see, we also want a Communitron 32. What else do I even need on this? We have the dish antenna, we have our command core thing, we have some batteries, and we have propulsion. Oh, Kerbal engineering system would be nice to slap on there. We don't need any science, we don't need any other antennas. Just go through all this. We don't need another sort of command pod, we don't need more fuel. We don't need different engines, we don't need RCS, we don't need any reaction wheels. Don't need any extra structural parts. Don't need any special aerodynamics. None of this is going to shear off on launch. Oh, of course. Power generation. Well, that's a pretty obvious one. I think if we put 2 Gigantors on here, that should be more than enough power generation. That significantly reduced the Delta V, but still over 1,000 meters per second. Should be more than adequate. Thrust weight ratio is getting a little bit on the low side, but still probably fine. Let's just see what it would look like with the, what you call it, carrier. Right now it's 1174 Delta V. So barely any different, actually. 1162 and much higher thrust weight ratio, so we'll leave it with that. Then we need to... structural. And we'll slap on a stack. Actually, we don't need to use a stack separator necessarily, but yeah, we'll stick with that. We'll use a stack separator. Now I just need to have one more dummy part on the bottom so that I can change the root part. Go to the advanced subassemblies. Alt-click to pop that off. Call this, let's just call it ComSat 1. That should work. Now we need to create a launcher vehicle. Yeah, we don't have to save that because we have it as a sub-assembly. But come to think of it, I don't have any Kerbals. This is a little messed up because I changed my resolution. Let me try to... There we go. Alright, gotta hire a couple Kerbals. And we'll be back into create our launch vehicle for the satellite. Get in touch with that rover that's stuck on Duna. There's a pilot. Yeah, let's just get one of each. That'll be fine. Alright, let's make this a proper mission. We'll have that command pod. Let's see, this, I think, will be a nuclear... Well, no, we're not actually going to Duna yet. No, I can make this a smaller mission. This is just to set up the Kerbal network, so we only need one command pod, actually. Let's slap on the heat shield. Always click on the Rockomex one first by accident. The Terrier. I think this is actually not going to be anywhere near enough Delta V, though. Well, maybe for the very upper stage. We'll revisit that. We need to... Actually, in this case, I think I am going to use the Rockomax coupler. And just going to put in a fuel tank as a placeholder. Because now, up here, we need to actually work out the ComSat network. So, let's stick... What do I want to stick on you? A couple of the basic solar panels would be nice. And with 720 pixel resolution, it's actually a bit harder to make out what's what. Here we go. Go to Science, grab Kerbal Engineering System. And let's see, this itself does not need any antennas because it's going to be crewed. And the satellites attached to it are going to take care of having antennas. Let's see, obviously we need a parachute for you. We need to go to structural and put on some kind of node. Actually, I don't think that that's going to be enough. Let's use the Pocket Edition beam, four-way symmetry, angled. Down a fair bit. Now we'll see if this will work. Let's go to our sub-assembly, grab the ComSat. Alright, I want to rotate this actually, so that that antenna is facing outward, and then we can bring these in a little more. That seems to be about the limit though, or else it'll start clipping into the Rockomax tank there. Okay, let's, for extra insurance here, put on another solar panel. Or maybe another whole set of 4. Oh, actually, that's right. It's... Oh, no, this is fine. Just slap a panel right there so that that outward-facing bit will get some sunlight. Alright, now we need to strut this up, because this is obviously going to be very unstable the way it is right now. It'd also be good to strut these to each other. I think it might be better to do that above the stack separator, because sometimes that causes problems. You strut things together that are then going to separate off of a central point. Alright, that's a really good start. Blow this up. It looks like, I think there are a few people watching right now, so I will say again, welcome to the stream, this little unofficial thing that I'm doing in support of the Kerbal Polar Expedition 3. The Duna rover is stuck up there with a couple of wimpy little omnidirectional antennas that have nothing to talk to. I'm going to fix that. So it would be great if you haven't already donated to the campaign to look at the link up there at the top of the stream, tiny.cc/KPE-3, and check out the campaign. Alright, this is plenty of Delta V, actually. That's a suspiciously large amount of Delta V. That's because... No, I'm not sure why, actually. That shouldn't have 2712 meters per second. I think somehow it might be pulling fuel out of these fuel tanks, even though there's a stack separator between those stages. Well, we'll just have to find out. Alright, this is actually already a fairly capable vehicle, but we're going to take it one step further. Let's go to structural and go to the 3-meter part there. Go for fuel tank. Pull this up a bit higher. Scroll fast enough, boy. Okay, engines. Take the big Quadra engine thing. Here we go. So how's that gonna look? It's actually a little bit less Delta V than I would like, and it's also a higher thrust to weight ratio. So maybe we'll take the half tank here. That half? Well, close enough anyway. Maybe I should just do another full-size tank there. Whoops, not sure what just happened there. Speaking of, let me save this. At Launcher Mark 1. That's a perfectly respectable thrust-to-weight ratio to start with. That'll get us most of the way to orbit, and then that'll start with about 1, which is a bit on the low side. Maybe I should place that skipper with a mainsail, which will decrease the thrust-to-weight ratio a bit, or rather decrease the Delta V a bit. Alright, 4908. I think we might still be cutting it a bit close. Especially once we add on all the aerodynamics that we need. I'm going to say, let's add full-size delta wings down there. And maybe above the mainsail we'll add a couple of large inline reaction wheels. Alright, I'm hoping that this is going to get us high enough that we're not going to flip over when we detach the lower stage. Entirely possible that we will flip over, though. Alright. Try to think if I'm forgetting anything else. I don't really think so, though. This is the Neutron 32, that's right, and Electron KR14. Alright, let's launch. I'm going to try to set up a constellation of 4 satellites in orbit around Kerbin, and then do the same around Duna. And if we get a working network, then our mission should be accomplished. We should be able to get in touch with that rover that's sitting down near the pole. I did not check my staging, but I think this stuff looks pretty good. Let's try to kick over a bit. Just a bit. Whoop, 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 whoop. Lots of wobble. Yeah, right where those... Yeah, you know what, let's just revert to the vehicle assembly bay. The reaction wheels are causing a lot of... I mean, the parts themselves are causing a lot of wobble. So let's go to structural and strut that. That should help, and it might also help if we then connect this to the dishes there. Alright, let's save and launch again. Never forget the struts. Alright, we'll start kicking over a bit. Yeah, my Kerbal Engineer stuff is all wrong now. This is definitely designed for 1080 pixel. I can barely read those numbers. Pull this over here. Let's just have orbit and vessel. We do want to have a pretty steep ascent profile because there's all of this very unaerodynamic stuff at the top. I don't want to have 4 separate launches for reasons that you will see shortly. Apoapsis is actually already just about where we want it. Although actually, instead of circularizing and then raising to the orbit that we want, I may as well just send this straight up to begin with. So I think we're going to take this up to 1 megameter, 1,000 kilometers. Stage separation is imminent. And this is fine, yeah. We're way out of the thicker part of the atmosphere, so we're not going to flip over. Like I said, we'll take this up to 1 megameter. So the core, or the key statistic is going to be this orbital period. Let's see. Time to apoapsis, still quite Generous. Okay, overshot that a tiny bit, but it'll be fine. Now pointing toward prograde, and let's get this circularized. So the thing I like to watch is eccentricity, rather than stressing out about watching these numbers under periapsis height. Eccentricity, we want to get down as close to 0 as possible. Whoop, okay. So this is a little lopsided, but it's fine. Orbital period is almost exactly 2 hours, so let's try to make it exactly 2 hours. Let's put thrust limiter extremely low. Okay, maybe not that low. There, 2 hour orbital period. The reason that's significant is we're going to set up a constellation of 4 satellites. You really only need 3, but 4 is more forgiving. So that's what we're going to do. First things first, though, I can't detach these without having... Well, technically, I don't need to have the... Because I have a Kerbal, I could have her go out and extend those antennas after I detach, but it's better just to have the antennas activated before we detach these. Little tough to click on. Alright, those are all activated. So this should be fine when we... Alright, we have SAS on, stability assist, and these should all fire at the same time. I'm just hoping that nothing's going to explode or collide, because this is a little tight on the clearance, but the forces should work out fine. Alright, let's do it. Beautiful. Alright, let's switch to one of these and extend those panels before we run out of energy. Do the same to all the other satellites. Alright, so one of these is going to act as the satellite for this particular position. Let's activate that engine. Put the thrust limiter pretty low, because we're just getting this back up to 2 hours. Wobbling a little bit. Here we go. 2 hours. Alright, so now the way that you get a perfect constellation of satellites where they're all spaced out well is you, first of all, get them all in the same place at the same time, like I have these guys. Then we switch to another satellite. Find one eventually. Here we go. And we want to make this orbital period 75% of 2 hours. So divide that by 4, you get, 4 half hours. Right? 30 minutes, 60 minutes, 90 minutes, and 2 hours. So that means we want to bring this down to 1 hour, 30 minutes. So we're going to face retrograde, activate our engine, and let's do it. Now you don't have to get it absolutely perfect for this particular maneuver, but I am going to try to get it close. The thrust limiter is very helpful for that. There. Close enough for government work. Let's... Alright, we're gonna have to use this to switch to our next satellite. It's fine. Actually, I think I just switched... Well, it doesn't really matter. Here we go. Alright, here's another one of these. We can see this is not the one that's set to perfect 2 hours, so this is indeed one that we want. Fire retrograde. to 1 hour 30 minutes. It's close enough. Less than 1 second off. And... hold on, which is which? That one is pretty perfect on 2 hours. This one's also pretty perfect on 2 hours. Not mixed up, am I? Okay, I mean, there are 2 different probes here. Okay. Well, retrograde. Oh, I haven't activated the engine yet. And that's about a second off, but that's not bad. Alright, so now all of these have their solar panels out. They all have their omnidirectional antenna set. And we still have a probe that's in that spot. Okay, so here's basically what's going to happen. This outer orbit is what all of the satellites are going to be following eventually. But we have these tighter orbits so that they can get out of phase with each other. So I'm going to time accelerate until this group makes one sweep back to that apoapsis. I'm going to zoom in and find whoever is in front. Oh, actually, it's the one I'm currently controlling, so that's good. Let's point prograde, and we're going to bring this up to 2 hours in the orbital period. Okay. Thought that engine had better gimbling than that. Still has tons of energy, so this solar panel is clearly adequate, and I overshot a little bit. Let's fix that. That'll do it. Now we're going to time accelerate yet again. Until these guys reach the apoapsis once more. So again, the math is the orbit that we ultimately want has an orbital period of 2 hours. So for the ones that aren't yet in the position that we want, we have those doing 1 hour and 30 minutes to get them out of phase and kind of create that square. Actually, I meant to select the other one here, but it'll be fine. They're not going to hit each other. Bringing this up to 2 hour orbital period, this number right here again. That'll do it. And I think I'm going to preemptively select the other probe before we time accelerate around. And you can see it taking shape. We now have a just about perfect square shape. Base prograde. Orbital period is now just a hair over 2 hours. I think that's a little more than... So at this point, when you're actually putting the satellites in their final position in the constellation, this is where you really have to be careful to get the orbital period as close to perfect as you can. That's fine. That's only 0.15 seconds off. So it'll take a very long time for these to drift out of phase in any significant amount. So now, I probably should have tested this earlier, but we're going to set a target of Duna and activate. And yes, it's still able to function just fine. So let's zoom out and take a look at that. Right now we only have one satellite beaming to Duna. We're going to set all the other ones in a moment. But we're just going to make sure when we zoom in here. Yeah, we can see the cone of that dish more than covers Duna and Ike. And it reaches them just fine. Let's jump back over here. So, let's see. Right now we have... Okay, if we make this dot the top here, we're at the bottom left corner. So let's go to the... let's go clockwise. So now we're going to the top left corner relative to that red dot. Just to make sure that we get all of the antennas set the way they need to be. We already have the omnidirectional antennas, so that these can talk to each other. And actually, I'll talk about that in just a second. In case you're not familiar with remote tech, the idea is everything ultimately connects through to Kerbal Space Center. To communicate with other planets, or with people who are on the other side of Kerbin from the Kerbal Space Center, basically. You need to have satellites up to bounce the signal around, so this is able to talk to these two probes right now. That's why we have the lines there. And for the sake of illustration, let me switch over here. Sorry, I think we're just a hair too far away from this. Here we go. So this probe cannot see the Kerbal Space Center, so the signal has to go up here and be bounced off of that satellite over here. And what's doing that bouncing? Sorry, it's dark here, but it is this long, straight omnidirectional antenna. This, we don't have to point at anything, it just works for everything that's in range, but it's pretty limited range. So we need to use this big honking dish here. Talk to things far away. So we're just pointing this at Duna. Activating it. And setting up our network that way. So let's see, that's talking to Duna, that's talking to Duna, that's talking to Duna. This one has not been set yet, so let's switch to that probe. The buggy is on Duna right now with just an omnidirectional antenna, like one of these, which doesn't have anywhere near the range to be able to talk to Kerbin. Alright, we now have 4 sets of antennas pointing at Duna, and if we time accelerate a little bit just to see how these move around, you can see that at any given time, 3 of them are pointed at Duna and communicating with Duna. Well, I should say 3 to 4 of them. Right now there are 3, and right now there are 4. They all have a clear line of sight to Duna. So this ensures that at any given time we have a nice redundant network. You know, we have things that can talk to Duna. Now I need to bring this Kerbal home. Point retrograde. And I think I'm going to split this stream into 2 parts. I think I'm going to call this just about done. We're going to bring this Kerbal home, like I said. And then I think tomorrow is... I think tomorrow is when I will actually set up the Duna side of the network and finish getting things worked out. Let's just bring Grarig home first. Then I'll see you tomorrow. we have oodles and oodles of Delta V. So I may as well use it. Coming in quite steep, actually. So let me put it on stability assist, and instead we're going to point up like this. So turn off the orbital mode. Vertical speed, yeah, almost a half a kilometer. Well, more than half a kilometer per second. That's how things were. Ooh, this is dangerous. The parachute is in the wrong stage. So one benefit, actually, of these steel beams is it makes sure that the engine side should always be pointed down, which is great. Still coming down really fast, but we're high enough that we're going to be able to work this out. It'll be fine. Alright, I think somebody else just joined us. I'm going to show our satellite network again before I finish this stream, but we're halfway through reestablishing contact and rescuing those poor Kerbals on Duna who are in their buggy. They were just trying to get to a pole, but they had no plan for how they're going to talk to us back home. I'll show that as soon as this Kerbal is safe at home. Actually, I have the stage recovery mod, so honestly I could have just let this run straight smack into Kerbin without having it centered, and it should have been fine, because it has a parachute and it could do a powered landing as well. Although technically this engine can't really... I mean, the thrust goes to just nothing when you get to denser parts of the atmosphere. Our speed is fine. Let's just detach now. Turn off SAS, and time warp. So it's around 250 meters per second that becomes safe. We're almost there. It doesn't look like we're coming down in mountains or anything, so that should be fine. I'm sorry that this is so dark. To plan this descent better. There we go. I love how you can stay in the 4 times physical time warp nowadays without it ripping your craft apart when the parachute deploys. Such a nice little quality of life improvement. Alright, let's recover that vessel, and we're going to take one last look at the satellite network, and I'm going to pick this up again at some point tomorrow. I don't know exactly when. But I think this is going to be a little too much to just try to do in one. Oh, I hope this is not crashing. It's saying not responding. Ah. Here we go. I think. Yeah, here we go. Lovely. Now we can take a look at the situation. We've just set up this network of 4 satellites. This is using the remote tech mod, by the way. They can all talk to each other. They're in this nice square formation, where if we time accelerate, they all stay in basically the same spot relative to each other. It would take months and months and months for this to start drifting in any significant way. And all of them are pointed at Duna. And here's a little sneak peek of what is down there on Duna. Here's the official Kerbal Polar Expedition 3 Duna buggy. Got our 4, heroes, Jebediah, Valentina, Bill, and Bob. But all that they brought are these little dinky Commutotron 16s, so they can't talk to anyone at home. Nobody knows where they are. They can't catch up on YouTube. It's just terrible. So this is what we gotta fix, but that'll have to come tomorrow. We're going to send a network of satellites to Duna to get back in touch with these Kerbals so they can watch all of their nice YouTube videos. So, you know, if you're around, hope you join in, and if not, then you can always watch the archive of the stream. So, we'll wrap this up tomorrow. Good night, sleep tight. Don't let the red planet, lack of signal, whatever, don't let it bite. Bye-bye, folks. Thanks for tuning in. Oh, and I should have said again, be sure to donate. Really, this is a great cause, charity water. tiny.cc/KPE-3, as you can see in the top right of the stream there. So go check it out. You can also click on the link in the description of this stream. Bye-bye, folks.